It's fresh set of downs. My name's Bruce Badgley. Dave Micah with us. And as I said, you never know who's going to stop by. And look who's here with us tonight, Dave.
Live from
Yeah,
Wallingford. Yeah.
I always say the voice of District 1, Dave Berman. Welcome.
Delco. I try my best, but we don't have the coverage down. We have good coverage, but not like you guys have out in the Allentown area, the Cole region, and Bruce, what you do for District 3. So yeah, let's take it away. I live in Wallingford. I've been down here 9 years. Public address announcer, football wise. Chester, my 10th year, and
Yeah.
Coatesville, number 4.
Wow.
Wow. Well, no, Dave, I tell you what, thanks for joining us. And, we kind of throw this little wild card out there. And for guys, I always say, like I said, now it's like you never know who's going to stop by. And lo and behold, here's Dave Berman. And, Dave, I think since we've got you here, we'll go ahead and talk a little bit about District 1. And I will pull up the power rankings here. So on your screen in a moment, you're going to see the District 1 power rankings. And there you can see it, right, Dave?
I
No,
see.
yep,
Oh,
now I
there
do.
you go. Yeah,
Yep.
right. Okay.
So
Central
we're
Buck
good
South. See, I haven't seen Central Buck South. I saw them last year and looked damn good. Was darn good, excuse me. And you got North Penn,
Steve.
Dick Beck. He's been there forever. Downingtown West. And Bruce, you covered that game when they lost to 4A Bishop Shanahan.
Yeah, that was incredible. It was a 20-play, 9-minute drive to finish the game for Shanahan. They scored with 17 seconds left. They only went 54 yards. It included like 4 fourth down conversions. I've never seen anything like it. Kudos to Shanahan.
Yeah.
Downtown West, still a very good football team, though.
I've seen that 11-minute drive last year in the District 1 5A championship game, Chester against Strathaven. Strathaven, you know their style. 11-minute drive, drew Chester offside, though, like 5 times and scored a touchdown, proved to be the winner by a touchdown, the District 1 5A. So I've seen Kevin Clancy's in his 34th year. They're going to be, they're going to be right there in District 1 5A. I also saw him against Berwick in 1998, David. I don't know if you were you covered? It was a state quarterfinal game. It was the state quarterfinals, and Mark Jones was a junior on that Strathaven team. 11,
great
almost
team.
12-minute drive. Wilkes-Barre Myers. Strathaven won the game and then went on to lose a heartbreaker. Allentown Central Catholic, you may remember, and then the rest is history, back-to-back state championships for Strathaven.
Well, yeah.
But
and
anyway,
Strathaven is the only team that George never beat.
At least
I think he was like 0-3.
One time.
Did he?
96, Strathaven.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
First round. Gus Felder scored Strathaven's 2 points where they ran the wrong way.
Right. I forgot
Mark Jones was a freshman, and that was at Myers too. So that was 29-2. And then they just had wars. It was unbelievable. It was good old public school days. Public versus public. Manheim Central. Manheim Central couldn't get by Berwick. Berwick had trouble getting by Strathaven. It was, and you had Selinsgrove in the mix. It was unbelievable, Bruce. You were here then, 25 years ago?
25 years ago. Well, how about like this year's, 6A bracket? Obviously, Dave, CB South, bringing the momentum from last year right into this year. And is there anybody in 6A that you think is a dark horse this year going into the postseason that, could be the CB South of last year?
I have seen Coatesville. And unfortunately, their game with Downingtown East had to be canceled. Do you guys know about that?
Yeah.
So Coatesville is young, great coach. Matt Ortega's been there a long time. Mm-hmm. You've seen them play over the years. Young quarterback. They were getting better. They're 5-2. Mm-hmm. A lot will tell on this game when they play Downingtown West on Friday. And I think, believe it or not, I think Coatesville could win District 1 6A.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
That's a bold
I really
statement.
do. What'd you think of Downingtown West, Dave? Bruce?
Yeah,
Look, I really like them a lot. A very solid team. Look, the reason why Shanahan won the game is because they were the last one with the ball.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Downingtown West, there was one key to the game, which was Shanahan stopped them on fourth down inside, the Shanahan 10-yard line, and then proceeded to go down and score, a first half touchdown. So that 13-point swing was the turning point of the game. But like I said, the only reason why Shanahan won is because they were the last one with the ball. They really had a
uh,
difficult time stopping Downingtown West. They have a very potent offense, really solid defense.
Got
I
some
like
blue.
them a lot. I mean, of you know, and for me, a lot of it has to do with like, who are the top 8 teams in District 1, because those are the ones that are gonna at least host a home playoff game. And to me, in the postseason, home field advantage, I think is you cannot underestimate that advantage, Mr. Micah. What do you think?
yeah, I agree. And I was gonna say to you, Dave, is historically, especially lately, it always seems to be one or two lower seeds
Yeah,
gets that win, whether it's a 14, knocking off a 3 or 15 knocking off a 2. Um, who's going to be that team to get that big upset by seed this year?
yeah. Well, he's kind of put his mark that he thinks it's going to be Coatesville.
It
That's
could be
really good.
Coatesville.
Good
Yeah,
stuff.
all right. Well, last year, coach, so remember they went for 2
Yeah,
against Central Bucks. The first round game, they were that close. I mean, it goes to show you. Yeah. The
Yeah,
I tell you what, we got and good to see some old blue bloods, as we like to call them, North Penn. We
yeah,
got Haverford High.
yeah,
They had to rebuild a little bit after Joe Gallagher retired after all those years. CB West, Perkiomen Valley 6-2, and Chester beat them at Perkiomen Valley earlier
yeah.
this year. That was a great win for the Clippers. The Plymouth Whitemarsh, they gave Manheim Township an unbelievable game, and a lot of people think now, after Harrisburg losing last week to Cumberland Valley, that Manheim Township, the favorite to win District 3 6A, and last year they had a big lead and let it slip away against Harrisburg. Remember in the final, you guys have been to more games in person than me all over the place. Ridley, good to see the Ridley Green Knights back at it too. So, and Souderton's good. Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. You just like the New York Mets, you get in there, anything can happen.
Exactly. You get in there, and then let's talk about the minefield that's 5A here. Holy cow. I mean, talk about the depth in 5A. I mean, Strathaven is undefeated and still not ranked number 1, which is crazy. I'm sure that will all kind of equal out as it goes on, but 5A there, I'll tell you what, you know, like you were talking about Chester, and we talked about this last week, Micah. They're ranked number 9. That's a team, quite honestly, that I would consider to be a favorite to win it all. Yet right now they're the number 1. They're the number 9 seed. They're not even going to host a home playoff game.
Did you guys see
yeah.
the Imhotep game? Imhotep
No,
Chester?
but I did. I had Joe there covering it, and listen, Chester could have easily won that game. They gave MLTEP everything they could handle. I thought it was a great performance by Chester. Considering MLTEP's now at 6A and you don't have to worry about them at the 5A level. And I think honestly, yeah, you look at Chester, they are the ninth seed, and a lot has to do with, a few of the teams that they played, and that's why they're lower. But arguably, I think you look at most polls, and if they're statewide polls, Chester's probably the highest ranked Eastern team by most
Garnet Valley dropped from 6 to 5, which they almost
Yeah.
have I guess numbers again, but numbers, you look at their team, they have 100 kids on the team, but they're 5A. They got blasted by Strathaven this year, and they both play similar style. See, Chester Lights, it's more of the playground. It's a run and gun. It's similar to that last play that was won by LaSalle College LaSalle over St. Joe's Prep a couple of weeks ago. So those teams, a lot of these teams, Ruston, Strathaven, Garnet Valley, Springfield, Delco, I seen Phoenixville. They play, like wing T, misdirection, very, so Strathaven's still the team to beat until somebody beats them. Okay.
Yeah.
So they're the defending champs. They've committed, I think, like 25 penalties all year. They hardly throw the ball. Two great running backs. They lost their entire offensive line. And they're right back at it again, guys. And Coach Clancy, 34th year, 70 years young. Jim Connor, still one of his assistants. They got Garnet Valley's, it's going to be, and Ruston, they beat as I said, they beat Downingtown East, lost by 7 to Downingtown West. Pottsgrove, Marple Newtown's tough. Chris Gicking, good to see Unionville back. And we'll just have to wait and see, guys. It's just one game at a time. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, but still, 2 more weeks to go, regular season.
Yeah,
it's hard to believe.
And the funny thing is when you look at all of this, when we obviously we did 6A, now 5A, but everything is so close that a loss here and there, somebody could drop from obviously a home game to barely making the field. I mean, it could be that precipitous.
Springfield plays Strathaven last regular season game of the year. I don't know if you can check that for me real quick there, Bruce, and go over to the right.
Well, Dave can, I think.
Yeah. Which game?
Strathaven Springfield regular season game, Central League game. I believe it's the last game of the year.
Strathaven is Springfield Delco. They're home on the 25th.
That's
last game.
Yeah. Somebody's going to have a loss after that one.
Yeah.
Well, it would be 2 for Springfield. So there's one of those things where Chester will win their next. You just never know who's going to go up and down. And yeah, being the PA guy for Chester, I'd like to see the fans have at least one home game, which I think we will. But the Clippers play well under the lights. The kids love playing under the lights too. At Chester we don't have lights, and all the games are like 11 o'clock. But
yeah, right.
The kids love it. They love it. They love the atmosphere. So
brunch at the bridge.
Commodore Barry Bridge. Yeah, the gate where Luke Brown is now our buddy. He's over at Rowan University doing a great job. So.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's go down to 4A. There's a lot fewer teams, but boy, the quality is pretty incredible with John Paul II and Shanahan.
Yeah.
I think both of those teams, Dave, are state contenders. They're that good.
Oh, Dave Berman.
Dave Berman, I'm sorry.
Okay, yeah. I look for John Paul II, Royersford, right across the street, by the way, from Springford High School. That's where they're located. Shanahan's in Downingtown. Great job there. Yeah, they'll meet. And then the winner of that game, if I'm not mistaken, will have to play Bonner in the state's quarterfinals.
Yeah, something like that.
Bonner, that's a state playoff game, and Bonner, they're awesome. But you saw what LaSalle College did to them, and there's so many big District 12 games coming. Roman Catholics got LaSalle coming up.
Yeah,
they've got the St. Joe's Prep coming up. So, Roman is going to play the winner of the District 1 5A. They'll play the champion. But yeah, man. So Dave, you saw Shanahan. So have you seen Pope John Paul in person?
I have not. And we had Coach Muldoon from Bonner on a couple of weeks ago. What a great guy. And I'm telling you what, he's totally embraced the fact that they're playing the big boys.
Good.
And I watched some of Bob Long's broadcast of the Bonner LaSalle game. I tell you what, the Bonner kids, they're tough. They're big.
And believe it or not, Cardinal O'Hara is not bad either. And Father Judge is just no match. But I didn't like a lot of the parents, I think, from O'Hara and some of them from Bonner. And we shouldn't be playing these guys. All these teams can recruit kids. They can bring kids in. I don't care what level you are. And you want to get to that level. That's what you want to do. I would love to play St. Joe's Prep every year, try to knock them off, and LaSalle. So anyway, we'll keep it going. Great job, Jack Muldoon. He's an absolute legend down here in Delco, and he calls a spade a spade.
Yeah, he sure does. And 2A and 1A, just a couple of teams there, but
Morrisville.
I have a little note.
Morrisville, Dave.
I have a note on Morrisville. So this is
Uh-oh.
from Coach. So
Coach
7 and
Cohen.
1, first time since 1971.
Wow.
Okay. Now he said, I'm not sure if Holman played last week or what, but their quarterback over 300 yards passing, their one receiver had over 200 yards. But I'll tell you what, they have talent. They can run the ball, they can throw the ball. And I know traditionally District 1, especially smaller schools, have a little trouble with some of the, schools maybe up north. But
Right.
I think this Morrisville team actually is legit. And I think it'll be interesting to see when they get a chance to play, outside their league and see what they could do.
So that's cool, Dave. You had a chance. You Coach Cohen, right? His
Yep,
second
yep.
year.
Yeah,
He's
he sends me stuff all the time.
so he's watching the show. I'm glad he probably was
Yeah.
surprised. I'm on because we chatted today a little bit on the
Uh-huh.
instant messenger, and he was giving me some stats. And Skip, as assistant coach, is the boys basketball. One of the assistants is boys basketball coach
Hmm.
at Morrisville. I got to meet Skip when they played Chester Charter and hoops last year in Morrisville. So yeah, man, I'm looking forward. And Lackawanna Trail, are they the team that eventually they're going to have to run into again?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's a
Lackawanna
couple.
Trail, I mean, there's a few, but I mean, Lackawanna Trail is definitely a team that you want to keep an eye on this year.
From the small town of oh, Dave, Lackawanna Trails up there. It's
Rosedale?
Oh,
Oh, no. It's
it's Christy Mathewson, the legendary baseball player from the early 1900s, his hometown, and I am blank with the town it's located. It's up in the north of Scranton, middle of nowhere.
yeah.
yeah, hold on, I could look.
Yeah, District 2 there, but anyway. All right, well, Mr. Berman, listen, thanks for doing the tour of District 1, and we're going to have to get you back on the show again, man, as we get down to it. What do you think?
Yeah, I
It's
appreciate it. Yeah,
Factoryville.
it's good stuff. Factoryville, yeah,
There you
Factoryville.
go.
So I did see Jersey Shore. Shout out to them. They came down here to play our
Yep.
Penwood team. We're the
Yeah.
young Penwood Athletic. Jersey Shore just a machine, and I know it's District 4. Yeah, I'm sure you'll mention that. And David, you're familiar with them.
Yeah.
They'll end up rematch with Shamokin. Good to see
Yeah.
Shamokin back on the map, right? And
Sure.
Yeah.
that'll be a rematch, District 4. Then after that, you got Bonner in the mix. You might have Pope John Paul. I'm trying to think who else up there, Dave. 4A. Who's 4A in District 11?
4A is I think Becca and Central and
Oh,
Yeah, Becca.
Southern Lehigh.
Yeah, we'll
No,
get into
Southern
more.
Lehigh's 5A.
thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
All right,
Yeah,
Dave,
thank you for
thanks,
coming
man. Just
on.
exit out.
All right, you got it.
Good seeing you.
All right,
Good seeing you,
Dave and
Dave.
Bruce.
Thanks a lot for jumping on, man.
You
Appreciate
got
it.
it.
All right. Good to see Dave Berman, man. Mr.
Yeah,
Excitement
always brings energy.
and Mr. PA History. I mean, my gosh, it's
He's always all over calling things. I mean, the time, a couple years ago, we were down in Delaware for the Maxwell,
yeah,
little tournament down there, and he was kind of the voice of that. Yeah, great guy, a lot of knowledge, especially basketball. I mean, if you ever need any information about basketball, that he's the man.
yeah, he sure is the man. So, all right. Well, listen, let's dive right in here, Dave. Let's take a look at our games from last week. We touched on, a couple of them here, but we'll definitely take a look at everything we got going on here. So there we go. Games
Yeah,
of note recap. And the big one here in District 3
yeah,
was Wyomissing basically said, not so fast, my friends, to Twin Valley, 34-24. Hardy with a big game, and we'll get into some of his milestones that he
yeah.
set in
A little
that
bit
game.
later.
But Justice Hardy, really spectacular game there. And, Wyomissing, still king of the hill here in Lancaster Lebanon League now.
Yeah, I mean, Penn Live had Twin Valley ranked number one, but why missing showed why, they are still one of the top programs in that area. And you're right, Justice Hardy, what a game that young man have, and we'll talk a little bit more about it. But back and forth game, and I think the key stat I saw this game was Twin Valley had two turnovers, Waya missing zero, played air-free ball. And really, that was, I think, the difference of the game.
Yeah, yeah, clearly. Up your way there in District 11, Easton 49, Liberty 20. It's really turned into a knockdown drag out up there with these with these teams. Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, again, Easton, they could throw the ball, but their bread and butter's defense and running. Thomas and Day, I think, combined for over 220 some yards rushing in that game. And you know what? At this point, I know we were all kind of, is Easton back? Yes, they are back.
Uh-huh.
And they have a big matchup this Friday night, which we'll talk a little bit later, against unbeaten Freedom. Whew, that's going to be the game of the week in this area by
Yeah,
far.
it sure is. And look, very interesting last Thursday for me. I was supposed to call the Kennett
Yeah,
Unionville game, which ended up being postponed.
yeah.
And then the closest game that I could get to
It might have been the
was,
best game.
yeah, and it was Shanahan and Downingtown West. And that was just really incredible to watch. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, it was and I apologize, I was going through some of our chats here, a 20 play, 9 minute drive that ended up, it only was 54 yards, but they went through four fourth down conversions for the winning touchdown um, for uh, for Shanahan there. And I'm just telling you what, it was a thing of beauty to watch, um, insofar as how it was coached, insofar as how it was played. Um, you never knew, quite honestly, who the 6A team was and who the 4A team was at any one given time. And it was just really amazing for me to see that game. What your thoughts, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, again, a very good 4A school playing a really good 6A school. And, Shanahan comes away with the 28-22 win. Hats off to them. Huge win. Their quarterback had a big game, and obviously, you were there for that. But, that I think, playing games like this, especially down, you know, at the end of the regular season, will prepare you for districts.
Yeah, Anthony Aguila. He had two rushing touchdowns and a 70-yard passing touchdown. That was a lot of yak on that, but star of the game and a lot of underclassmen on Shanahan. That was my takeaway. This is a very good team this year. Just about everybody's back. So, just for your preseason polls next year, keep Bishop Shanahan in mind. And Dave Berman touched on the fact that Shamokin beat Lewisburg 17-12, Dave. And, that in the battle of unbeatens.
Yeah, it was a battle of unbeatens, and Lewisburg, listen, they've beat some pretty good teams along the way as of Shamokin, but a hard fought game between two very good programs. Um, Shamokin senior Chase Pencil, I think that's how you say it, had a big game for the Indians, and they remain unbeaten, and right now I think they're top in their districts in their class.
Yeah, they sure are. LaSalle College just keeps on keeping on.
Oh,
35-13 win over Bonner Prendy. I touched on that game a little bit there with Dave. LaSalle, very workmanlike. And Bonner, I'll tell you what, they're not backing down from anybody. They are a very, you would never know by watching them that they're a 4A team. I mean, physically, they play a physical brand of football that you really don't usually see out of 4A teams.
yeah, and last year they I think they lost in state playoffs to Dallas last year,
Yeah.
who made that great run. I think it was back and forth down to the wire, if I remember correctly. But listen, this LaSalle team, as good as their offensive is, their defense is special. For basically 3/4 of the game, they shut down a very good Bonner offense. And, Bonner got two touchdowns, one late in the third quarter, and then added another one late in the fourth quarter. But again, this LaSalle team, boy, I mean, right now you can't argue that they are the number one team in the state, beating Harrisburg early and beating St. Joe's Prep. I mean,
Exactly. I mean,
they
are you
right
kidding me?
now,
Who?
but you got to do it in districts if
Yep.
if you want to make it states. So there's a lot of season left, but this LaSalle team, I tell you what, coach in his first year has done a tremendous job.
All I can say is I felt that they had LaSalle had the talent. I think that they really upgraded, with uh, Coach Brett Gordon, who we had on,
Hmm.
first week of the year there, and you could tell that this team was on the uptick. And speaking of a team on the uptick, oh my, Penn State. What
Yeah.
the heck's going on out there? I mean, what are they putting the water out in LA? I'm telling you what. Um, Something special going on in State College this year. I think that quite honestly, that victory kind of solidified a berth into the college football playoff. And obviously there's a trap game at Wisconsin, not this week, but the following week, and then
Yeah.
home with Ohio State. Everybody's already looking at that, licking their chops. Oh my. And we're covering Penn State football. I'm gonna have to figure out how I can do a few more of the road games. I mean, wow, really something going on special there in State College, Dave. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, listen, a win's a win. Okay. I know it wasn't a perfect game, but they found a way to win the game, and that's all that
Well, they
matters.
came from behind. They
Um,
were down 14
yeah,
points in the third quarter.
yeah. I mean, great win on a road, game, all the way out in California. It's not easy, but now they have 2 weeks to prepare for Wisconsin and then Ohio State coming up. But I
Yeah,
think
and a
this is
favorable
probably a
schedule
good,
down the stretch.
absolutely, and it's probably a good break right now for them. Get some people healthy, work on some things, and you know what? Then you have the second part of your regular season to go.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, let's get into our power rankings a little bit here. Really not a lot of change from last week with everybody because everybody won. And Dave Berman touched on Lackawanna Trail being, 1A. What a now Schuylkill Haven, are they up in 2A again?
Yeah, they're 2A. Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Um, but a Troy now with Southern Columbia down a little bit. Boy, they're
Yeah.
looking really, really good. Riverside, Schuylkill, Haven, Williams Valley, Lackawanna Trail. Not a lot of movement there.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, these five teams have been doing it all year. Um, I Muncie's just outside my
Yeah.
top five out of District 4, a good program. Steel High has quietly been 6-2. A team that is not going to be in the PIAA playoffs, but Penn Charter, a small school out there in the Interact, is having a good year. Line Mountain, a team that's going to battle
Yeah.
Muncie. And then, Mooresville made my top 10. Had to throw them in. 7-1. They're having a great year and they have a lot of talent. It'll be interesting to see when they, face a District 2, 4, or 11 team, how they will do. I forget what bracket they're actually in, but I think it's a sub-region. But yeah, it's, I think the top five teams have done it all year. And I think at single A and double A, those are the teams that are going to make some noise in Eastern PA.
Okay. Hey, listen, my buddy, I'm going to bring him in and he can kind of sit while we go through the rest of
Mhm.
the rankings. Dave Bray, who I do the Penn Live games with,
Yeah,
we'll have Dave go through the District 3 rankings with us here.
yeah.
So we'll bring Dave in. To a lot of Daves tonight.
I know a lot of Daves, right? The the common name.
Common name. There he is, sitting in the easy chair. My
There he
buddy
is.
Dave Bray. How are you?
Pretty good. How about yourself, Bruce?
Great, great.
Boy,
Dave
I like
Micah,
it. I
Dave
like his
Bray.
setup there.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
got myself
Well, he's a podcaster.
Yeah,
a nice mic. I'm
I
doing it
like
for
that.
a whole bunch of stuff, so had to get something nice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
right.
welcome, welcome.
Yeah.
Th
So
Thank you for coming on.
we're going through our power rankings right now, Dave, and then so we're going through our Eastern rankings, and then you and I and Dave will go through the power rankings in District 3 here in just a couple of minutes. So if you can hang tight for just a couple minutes here, okay?
I got all the time in the world. I'll keep listening.
All right, great. Thanks a lot. And interject anytime you want to here.
Oh, no problem.
All right. Okay, so our oh gosh here.
And this is 3A, 4A
Oops,
teams. Oh, it
went too
was.
far. There we go. So 3A, 4A power ranking. Um, I've got this is where there was kind of the big change this week because our number one team, Twin Valley, went down, or like I said, there were some losses there. My number one didn't change. Danville 3A out of District 4 there. Why I'm missing pops up to number two for me. Northwest Lehigh, and then out of District 1 there, Pope John Paul II and Bishop Shanahan jumps into my ranking there after their win over 6A Downingtown West on Thursday. Mr.
Mhm.
Micah, why don't you talk a little bit about your rankings?
Yeah, I mean, I had Bonner number one. I dropped them one spot, losing to arguably the best team in the East right now, LaSalle, is nothing to be ashamed of. So, I dropped them down one spot, moved Danville up. Pope John Paul's been steady at 3. The big jump was Wyatt Missing for me, moving from 6 to 4, and then Northwestern Lehigh staying at 5. Solid
That's tough.
five
Yeah.
programs. I think these five programs are going to make some noise, and I have a sneaky suspicion that one of them is going to represent the East at Cumberland Valley this year.
Yeah, well, we'll see. That's for sure. Our buddy Bob Long's got PJP. Wyo jumps up for him. Danville right in there. Bonner and Twin Valley. So really, he had Bonner. Bonner and Twin Valley were 1 and 2. They since they both lost, they kind of took a tumble
Yeah.
for Mr. Bob. And now 5 and 6A power rankings. I've got LaSalle. In fact, we all have LaSalle and St. Joe 1 and 2. Um, I'm all in on CB South. I mean, here's a team that won District 1 last year and is undefeated
Mhm.
this year. Freedom, your team there out of Bethlehem there, Dave,
Yeah.
Mr. Micah. And then Manheim Township for me creeps into the top 5. I want to say creep. I mean, they're undefeated. They've had a pretty solid. I think their closest game was the Plymouth White Marsh. They won by 3 on the road. So a big road win for Manheim Township, but they've taken on all comers. They beat a pretty powerful Central York team, and 1 loss. That's the only, I think, loss that Central York has had this season as well. So Manheim Township makes my top 5 this week. Dave, Mike, I wanted you to go through your top 5.
Yeah, I mean the top three hasn't changed. Actually, top four, LaSalle, Prep, MLTEP, CB South. Um, Freedom was sixth. They moved up to fifth. Uh, I had Downington West in that spot, but since they lost, they dropped in my top 10. But looking at Bob's, I know he has Malvern Prep, a team that is close to my top 10. Um, Good interact program down there. But you look at the top three for Bob and I, only one's going to come out of that
Yeah.
district.
And that's the whole
Obviously,
reason. That's the whole reason why I don't have Imhotep, kind
mhm,
of in there. It's like my rankings are based on like, all right,
districts.
yeah, it's really yeah, who's coming out of the district? I think
Yeah.
CB South out of 1, Freedom out of 11, Manheim Township out of 3.
Yeah, no, I mean I can't argue that. But obviously when LaSalle prep, round two, one of them's gonna move on and they're gonna play MLTAP and then we'll see. But it's definitely not a easy road like it's been the past 3, 4, 5 years. Um, District 12 6A is absolutely stacked. I don't think any league in the state can match those three programs.
Well, here's the thing too for me as well. And even
Hmm.
though the talent level is pretty outstanding in District 12, the fact that St. Joe Prep has been beaten, that they're not this like
Invincible.
exactly that
Yeah.
that I think what it did, that loss by St. Joe Prep and LaSalle being competitive there, what it did is it changed the entire landscape of 6A across the state. I think what it did is it gave hope for about 20 other teams that they could be, that if they put things together, that they could become a state champion. And I think that, what do you think, Dave?
Yeah, and I agree with you, but I would not be shocked if they're the last team standing holding the trophy at Cumberland Valley. They've been there, done it. They play that national schedule that prepares them for this. So I think when it comes to playoff time, they're going to make this adjustments and they're going to see where, they have to tweak this, that, but they have a lot of Division 1 talent and I think they're going to be, you know, making some stories in the next 2, 3 weeks.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. I would agree. All right. Well, listen, we're going to
Yeah.
go back to our power rankings here, and we will pull up the District 3 rankings here, which I believe should be this. And there it is, District
There
3
you go.
power ranking. Can you see that, Mr. Bray?
I can, yes. I also have it up on my own screen too. I was looking
Yep,
at
and
it,
I
so
do too.
All right. Wow. Okay. All right. So at least our fans can see that. And along with seeing our ugly mugs, who's ever speaking there. And at least when Dave speaks, I mean, he's the man with like the fluorescent multicolored microphone. I
I don't know
mean,
if you noticed, I was changing the colors for the
I
top
did
teams you
notice
guys had
that.
on.
Yep, I did notice that. I like that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, so not so much going on there. In single A, Delone Catholic and York Catholic will play for the
Yeah,
um
with
District 1
Fairfield.
title.
Yeah.
Delone has been actually they dropped down from 2A to 1A,
Hmm.
and Steel High moving up into 2A, and they look pretty powerful, Dave, to kind of handle the double A there. I know that the top four teams are going to play one another, but Steel High, despite the big time losses, they've just retooled and really look sharp so far. David, Bray, what do you think?
Honestly, I mean, they've looked strong. I mean, if you take a look at their schedule too, they had pretty solid wins
Yeah.
against most of the teams they've had this year. With their only struggles being in Juniata, which is a big factor within the Mid-Penn Capital Conference for them. And of course, with Susquehanna Township, I mean, which we've seen about two, three times in person as well. So, I mean,
And we'll
honestly,
see him again this week.
yeah, I mean, you're right. But apart from those like big name teams, they've been real solid so far. So, I mean, I could see them making a good run in the playoff here.
And in AAA, Trinity, the team that Dave and I will see on Friday night for Penn Live,
Hmm.
Trinity and Susquehanna Township. Not only will that determine really the league championship there, but also a lot of bearing in who's going to have home field advantage in the playoffs. Trinity wins this game against Susquehanna Township. I think that they would have home field advantage in 3A throughout, and kind of a leg up into the PIAA. Mr. Micah, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I think Trinity's a great story. Obviously a couple of the players left the program and went to another school, but yet here we are, 7-1, and have a chance to be the number one seed going in district playoffs. Hats off to the kids that stayed, hats off to the new coaching staff, and I think they're doing a great job.
Any thoughts on 3A, David Bray?
Honestly, you said it best. This is a fight here towards the end. I mean, like you said, it's probably the biggest game of the year for Trinity so far next week. And honestly, that's just a huge tipping point here. I mean, if you look at the rating, I don't know how much people care about this, but I cared about it a lot when I did basketball throughout the season. But it is so close. It's to the hundredths or to the thousandths place, excuse me, in terms of how close they are. And I think just like with how Bermudian Springs, they got a little bit left on their schedule with two games versus
Mhm.
Hanover and Littlestown. And I think it's just whatever happens in these next two games is what determines who gets home field advantage here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
AAA takes 6. Brooks Catholic right now hanging on by a
Yeah.
thread over Big Spring for that final 3A spot there in District 3. And in 4A, are you kidding me? I mean, LS and Y Missing play this week.
Wow.
And YO just beat Twin Valley. So it's shaking out. And remember, they're all conference opponents too. This is
Hmm.
Lancaster Lebanon Section 4. This round
Whew.
robin I've been looking forward to all year, where Wyomissing plays Twin Valley. Now LS plays Wyomissing. Susquehanna Township, West York, the biggest story I think in football, maybe in the state of Pennsylvania. 0-10 last year, 6-2, likely to make the playoffs. Where do you go? I mean, lots of storylines there. David Bray, what do you think?
I mean, with West York can only go up. I mean, literally from last year, like you said, they no wins. I mean, you gotta go somewhere, and it's honestly just a big shock here, putting themselves in the driver's seat here going into the playoffs. And Lampeter, Strasburg, and Wyomissing, they got the last game matchup here right before the regular season ends, and that honestly is such a huge factor when it comes to the playoffs. And it's really gonna either the winner is gonna be motivated to keep moving forward, the loser is going to be like, we need to be better than that, and we need to keep doing that moving forward. So I think that's just a big motivator for both these teams here going into the playoffs.
Any thoughts on the 4A there, Mr. Micah?
Yeah, I was gonna ask Dave, with why I'm missing moving up, how do you think they will do? I mean, obviously you're doing really
I was
good.
gonna say they're
Uh,
doing just fine right now.
yeah, they're doing this fine. But do you think just from the past years of their success in playoffs going deep, not only in districts but states, will help them at this level?
I mean, honestly, it's like, I mean, we've seen already from this year too. We saw McDevitt move up obviously to a different
Yeah.
to one up, and they've been doing surprisingly well. I mean, we're gonna go into 5A in a second, but I mean, we said they moved up, or we could have said the same thing last year. How are they gonna deal with it with all the playoff
Hmm.
like they've had? And they've been, I mean, right now they're sitting fifth. So
Yeah.
honestly, I think just having that playoff experience really gives them a chance to keep improving. And I know they can, they're probably saying right now, we've been here before. We can
Hmm.
handle being in the playoffs. It's just all about a bigger school and better teams, and they're just doing just fine right now.
Absolutely.
I think that the enormous intangible, I don't want to say intangible, it's not, it's a tangible, and that's the coaching of Bob Wolfram and that staff.
Hmm.
Unless you're around these guys intimately and hear them and how they coach a game, you have no idea how what great coaching that Wyomissing and these teams. You can't be successful as long as they have,
Hmm.
and not have, obviously they've got good players or whatever like that, but their coaching and the way that they do their game planning, just incredible. um and but I mean, wow, Susquehanna Township, I mean, they're just talent with a capital T. um Twin Valley, so many storylines. I mean, in 4A, just in District 3, carrying through LS, Vic Rittenauer, another incredible job there, coaching, undefeated, and yeah, just East Pennsboro's come out of nowhere to make the playoffs. Now, that's a team that could surprise some people, David Bray. What do you think?
Honestly, yeah, I don't think their record shows how much talent they have. And also the fact that there's three teams who are 7-1 and two that are undefeated is ridiculous. But I mean, still, it's a team that's been solid all season. They've had a couple unfortunate losses, and I feel like if you want a sleeper pick going into the playoffs, East Pennsboro is going to be that guy for you.
Yeah, I would totally agree. All right, well, let's go ahead and moving on up to
Woo.
5A.
Look all the 8-0
Gosh,
teams.
holy 8-0.
Hello.
Holy
Six
8-0.
we
8-0
we touched
teams.
on this.
And by the way,
We
Bishop McDevitt's right in
Well,
the
that's
middle
what
of
that's what
that.
I mean. We touched on this last week. I mean, this is just District 3, okay? I mean,
Mhm.
all these undefeated teams,
I
and
know.
these are quality teams. I think that there are 10 teams that make 5A. I mean, holy cow. Any of the top 8. You're talking about, and Cocalico at number 8 is the two-time defending 5A champion.
At
So
8.
at 8.
At
So
8.
you look, Hershey went deep into the playoffs last year. It is really going to be a knockdown drag out for that final playoff spot there. A team really making, a run at it. Warwick and Lower Dauphin, a couple
Mhm.
teams that we saw Lower Dauphin a couple weeks ago, Dave.
We
That's a
did.
very talented team, and they're at 500.
I mean, if I'm gonna put my 2 cents in here, the only thing is, like I'm looking at Hershey here. They're 6-2. They've had some games where they look really strong, and then of course they had that
They
unfortunate
lost
loss to Redland.
who
So
was 0-6 at the time. That's just
yeah,
incredible.
Yeah.
but I think honestly, if you're talking about Hershey, who made a big playoff team, I mean, of course, I'm gonna give my props. They're my alma mater, but they lost a lot of players last year, and they did a really good job bouncing back with Sweeney at quarterback and being able to find Sean Elliott with the running game, of course, with Sweeney himself. But they've been able to bounce back strong. They did a fantastic job of defeating Northern last week. And if you want, again, like I said, like with East Pennsboro, they're a low-ranked team, but they're a team that could definitely make an impact going into the playoffs with all these 8-0 team monstrosities that are at the top like 7 of this list.
Well, they did last year. They beat New Oxford in the playoffs last year, who was the number 1 seed. Hershey has got that pedigree. Any thoughts there, Mr. Micah, on obviously, I mean, what a high quality group of teams.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely one district, one class I'm really gonna keep an eye on because whoever
Well,
comes out of
Conestoga Valley
this,
plays Exeter this week, so
wow. Yeah, so I mean, still, whoever comes out of this district, this class is gonna earn it.
whew,
Maybe I give McDevitt a slight edge, but there's so many other arguments you can make about some of these other teams. So it's going to be fun to watch that bracket when it starts in a couple weeks.
I think that home field advantage is
It's
going
going
to
to be
mean
big.
so
Mhm.
much in 5A in District 3 this year. It's not funny. And moving on up to 6A, um, some good quality teams at the top. Manheim Township undefeated. Wilson, who's nobody has been talking about. Now, Penn Live's given him some love,
Yeah.
in the honorable mention or whatever. Central York, um, Central Dauphin East. We had their game last week, Dave. They took it on the chin
Hmm.
from State College. They've got just one loss now. Harrisburg, two losses, but still a wealth of talent there. And let's not forget Cumberland Valley, who just beat
Yeah.
Harrisburg last week to get, and I think 10 teams make it here. So Cumberland Valley, big win over Harrisburg to kind of vault themselves into right now, if it ended today, the postseason. So, David Bray, your thoughts on 6A here in District 3?
I honestly think that at this point, the top spot is up for grabs. And the reason why I'll say this right now is because Wilson plays Manheim Township for the final week before the playoffs. So
Mm.
that is going to be a huge decider on who's where, who's doing what at this point. But honestly, but just by looking at this, there's some very solid teams. We saw Central Dauphin East do a great job last week of cleaning up the damage here. They need to just figure that stuff out. They need to, like last week, they
Just
had a rough,
they have that short-term memory loss and
yeah,
just put
like
that
I
behind them.
mean, yeah, they had a rough week last week. That's okay. You move on. Just because you can't be 8-0 doesn't mean you're still not a good team. I mean, Harrisburg sitting at 6-2 too. I mean, of course, they had a few injuries that plagued them a little bit, but 6-2 isn't really a good record to see at them because I think they should be higher. And Cumberland Valley, like you said, giving Harrisburg a run for their money, putting themselves up on another win, and really showing teams, honestly, that hey guys, we can upset people too. We're up there. It honestly puts them on the map a little bit here going into the playoff picture.
Yeah, and yeah, it's going to be a dogfight. Harrisburg obviously looming. I think it's important for Harrisburg to really, get some help and try and get, in the top four there, so that they're at least going to play, two home games,
Hmm.
in the postseason. And with 10 teams getting in, you want to get a bye as well. So getting in the top four, very important, so that you get a bye week to kind of heal your wounds a little bit before you have to play an opponent there. So, yeah, I think so much kind of riding on this last couple of weeks in 6A, as you mentioned, Dave.
Yeah.
Um,
I
a
I
lot
honestly think
riding.
Waynesboro has a shot of moving into the playoff picture too. And
Mm.
the reason why I say that is because they play a lowered often team that isn't up to par, at least we've seen with their game against Hershey. And they play Hershey the last game of the year too, which, as we've seen, is an upsettable team. So honestly, if they want to give themselves a shot here to make that final push into the playoffs, they need two big wins here this week and next week, and that's how they'll put themselves in.
All right, my friend. Hey, thanks for joining us here for our
Yeah,
District 3 recap. And
great stuff.
yeah, we'll reconvene Friday at in Camp Hill at Trinity
Hmm.
High School when we broadcast Trinity and Susquehanna Township for Penn Live, Dave.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks for having me. I
All
appreciate
right,
it.
thanks, man. All right,
Take it
appreciate it.
easy.
Take care now.
Thank you. I will.
All right, see you.
Wow, that
So,
was great
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, no, perfect timing. I thought Dave would provide some nice insight there. He's a mid-pen guy, as he talked about Hershey High School and that, but wow, District 3, pretty crazy stuff, Dave. We still have a couple more power rankings to do here if you want to
Yeah,
keep forging on here.
sure.
All right. Let's get back to our power ranking page here and let's see who comes up. All right. Looks like we've got District 4.
Okay.
And 1A, you were touching on the fact Line Mountain having a good season there in District 4 anyway. They're number 1.
Yeah, I
Muncie,
mean, Muncie, Montgomery, Canton. I think right now it's shaping up that Line Mountain, Muncie will probably end up battling for that district title.
yeah, absolutely. And in 2A, you can see Troy 8-0. And boy, Southern Columbia. Now, do they take the top 4?
I think it's top four, if I remember correctly.
Well, right
Top
now they're
four.
in basically their playoffs are starting this week. I mean, if they lose another game, they're likely out. Depending on who they're playing or what. Who does Southern Columbia play the last 2 weeks, Dave? Can you pull that up like on your
Yeah,
computer there?
I'll quick bring that up. So Southern Columbia, the last 2 weeks plays. All right. They are at Bloom and then Shikellamy, a 4A school.
Wow.
Um, will they be 6-4, 5-5? We'll see. But you look at Troy, 8-0, number one seed. Um, they've the team that's number two, they beat 56-13 back in September. Um, I, could this be the year? I mean, we talk about it every year. Is this the year that someone will finally beat Southern Columbia? And whew, it's going to be a challenge for the Tigers if they want to get back to Cumberland Valley and defend that title. Whew, they're going to have
Wow.
to
Yeah.
play.
That
Yeah.
that's gonna be a tough one. Um, in 3A, my gosh, really very competitive there with Danville and Lewisburg, who just took it on the chin from Shamokin. But both of those teams, along with the Red Tornado there, Mount Carmel, I mean, all hanging tough.
Yeah. I mean, listen, those top three teams are all good programs. Right now, Danville's, I've been saying it for weeks, arguably the, you know, best District 4 team out there this year. And we'll see. A lot of games to play in the next couple weeks to determine seeding, but three really good programs.
Yeah, 4A here. Shamokin, Jersey Shore. Um, you know, Jersey Shore with 2 losses. That's the most losses they've had in the regular season in a couple seasons.
Yeah, I mean they had let me bring up their schedule here. They had back-to-back losses before winning last week, and they lost. Well, no, it wasn't back-to-back, excuse me. They lost to a 5A Hollidaysburg and then a close game against Shamokin. So I think for Jersey Shore, they got Scranton Prep out District 2, who's undefeated, I think. Um, a very good 3A program. So that's going to be a big matchup for Jersey Shore, and then they finish at Central Mountain. But I think, looking at it, I think Jersey Shore would like to get that rematch against Shamokin. And if they do, could Shamokin beat them twice in one year?
Yeah. Yeah, really interesting there. 6A, Um, Hazleton, Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, Williamsport. I think they all qualify for the postseason, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I mean, Hazelton, a solid team up there. Scranton, they have some playmakers. And Wilkes-Barre, moving up to 6A.
Yeah,
I know they're 4-4. That 6A little bracket, it's up for grabs. You know, I mean, you look from 1 to 4, any one of those teams, could end up winning that bracket.
yeah, clearly. Clearly they could. Clearly they could. All right, well let's I think we still have District 11. I almost forgot District 11 there. So let's see if we can't pull that up here.
And we have District 2, I think,
Oh,
also.
District 2. Yeah, I kind of
Yeah.
go let's see.
I know we're like
There we
out of
go.
order. There we go.
So Lackawanna Trail, I think this is that combination that you talked about,
Yeah,
11 and
sub-region. Yeah.
right.
So, obviously Lackawanna Trail's the #1 seed, and rightly so. And then you have Tri-Valley. Nativity's had a great year. Old Forge, Marion, and Holy
Don't I think
Cross.
Lackawanna Trail and Nativity play this week, don't they?
I could look and see. Lackawanna
I could be
Trail.
wrong.
I'll see. But looking at this sub-region, you kind of favor Lackawanna Trail in this one. Now Lackawanna Trail is at Carbondale, and
Okay.
then they finish with, or I'm sorry, that is Susquehanna I clicked on. So Lackawanna Trail is at Holy Cross, and
Okay.
then they finish against Riverside, a very good double
Yeah.
A
Oh,
school.
wow. Yeah.
So that's a big game next in 2 weeks.
Well, and in 2A here, Williams Valley, Schuylkill Haven, um, Myersville hanging in there. They had a really good start, but taking a couple on the chin, but they're hanging in there.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it, I guess in green means you're in.
Yep.
So that would be those 5. Schuylkill Haven, boy, they've been putting up some numbers,
What do they have?
scoring
81 points last week?
81 points last week. They put up, I think, 70, 60. Actually, I'll bring up their
Oh,
schedule,
it's
but
basketball scores.
it's basketball scores, you're right. And listen, they're putting in younger kids, and you can't tell these kids not to score. But I mean, they've scored 57, 77, 59, 72, and then 81. So
They've
they're
got to be
putting
the
up,
top scoring team in Pennsylvania.
I would think so. I could look, but yeah, I think they have to be that team. Let me see. So yeah, total points, they're top with 434. So they're averaging um so Central Clarion's averaging a little more but played less games. But Schuylkill Haven's averaging 54 points a game.
Wow,
Yeah.
pretty good, pretty good stuff. And then 3A, wow, Northwest. Look at this league that at Northwest Lehigh, Notre Dame Green Pond, North Schuylkill, Saucon Valley, Tamaqua. I mean, what a league!
Yeah, I mean, listen, all 5 of those programs have had great years. North Schuylkill just came off a big win against Blue Mountain.
All right,
They won pretty handily. And Notre Dame, about them, their offense, their quarterback, who's if he's not over 3,000 yards, he's right there. They're gonna chuck the ball all over. Northwestern Lehigh, a team that, you know, first time in a while, a District 11 team made it to the state finals. Northwestern Lehigh, goal number one,
Yep.
you know, be undefeated at the end of regular season. Goal number two, win districts, and then from there, try to get back to Cumberland Valley. But they're, right now they're on the right path to, accomplish at least goal number one.
Looks like everybody in 5A is going to make it there. East Stroudsburg South, the best record, a little bit rough after that. But in the 6A side, man, oh man, right now only it looks like Freedom and Easton are the
Yeah.
ones that are going to make the postseason. Wow, Parkland and Nazareth and Liberty and Emmaus all
Yeah.
crying the blues.
Yeah, we're doing on D11 Sports, we're doing the Nazareth Northampton game, which is at Nazareth this Friday. But again, the big game's going to be that Freedom Easton game because if Easton knocks them off, they're going to probably be that number one seed going into week 10. But I think, could you know, Parkland jump up to number two? We'll see. But there's a lot of football to play in these couple weeks here.
Boy, yeah, a lot of scoreboard watching going on in District
Yeah.
11, let me tell you. So, all right, well, listen, let's finish up our stuff here. And we just talked about the power rankings there. And let's get to these milestones. We were
Oh,
talking
wow.
about Justice Hardy there. Talk a little bit about, his stuff there. Thanks to Mr. Shaler there for
Yeah.
providing that.
Yeah, I mean, he combined 196 yards rushing, over 100 yards receiving. That combination of 297 yards is a record for the school. Previous record 295, set by Kevin Dice in 1983. So hats off to Hardy. Boise having a big year for Wyomissing.
Um, and actually, I stand corrected. Looks like I forgot 4A in District 11. So for our buddy there, Jim Gorman, I'm gonna go back here and get the 4A
Oh
here
yeah, you
in
did.
District 11. And thanks, appreciate that, Jim. And so a crowded field there. Southern Lehigh, though,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at some of those teams there, Dave. I mean, all fighting it out there, obviously. And the one thing I'll tell you what that I've been impressed with this year is Lee Heighton. They've had some
Yeah.
good wins. They're coming back from some tough times. That's good to see that.
Yeah, and how about Mike Brennan, first year at Pottsville, 4-4, respectable record. You look at Becca, ACC, and again, ACC, a lot of injuries. Becca, they play those you know, in the 6A District 11 league, I think that'll kind of prepare them for the 4A. I said before, I think they had the talent to battle for this 4A district title, but could this be the year for Southern Lehigh? I think, that was one of their goals, and right now they're the top seed, and like you say, having home field advantage could be a big deal.
Yeah, it is. Boy, just a lot of minefields going on there as well. So, all right, well, let's get back to our records and milestones. We
When
talked a
you
little bit
talk,
about Mr. Hardy there, but
yeah,
Samaj Beals, wow. I mean, anytime you're mentioned in mentioning that you've broken a Kyle McCord record, that's
yeah,
doing something.
yeah, he's now the all-time passing yards record in district. I think is it for the Philly Catholic
I
League
think it's
or
for Philadelphia City.
okay, so the Philadelphia area. Um, you know, what a game he had last week, 369 yards, 5 touchdowns. Yeah, he'll be adding to those totals and what can you say? I mean, the tremendous talent, great program, and Roman Catholic is definitely going to be a team to watch when it comes to districts. They have some tough games coming up. They play the LaSalles, they play the Preps, tough programs to play, but it's going to get them ready to when it comes to 5A districts and possibly state playoff run.
And Tymir Wilkerson, 366 yards.
Yeah,
I mean,
tops this
crazy
week.
stuff.
Yeah, I mean Burrick running back, I text CJ Curry and he said he kind of moved some players around. He wanted to get Wilkerson the ball more and it's really paid off. They've won 3 of their last 4 games after going 0 for whatever it was at the
Yeah.
start of the season. So the moves he made has definitely made the difference. And, you know, could Burke finish strong? With 2 games to go, we'll see. But they seem to have turned the page this year.
Cardinal O'Hara, John Weldy, all-time leading passer.
Yeah. I mean, over 4,000 yards passing in his career. He broke a record held by Deshaun Darden in 2013 with 3,800 yards. So hats off to John. And, he has some more games to play.
Jalen Harris broke the
Jeez.
Delaware County record for touchdowns in a career. That's incredible. I
Yeah.
remember Anthony Paletti at Marple,
Yeah.
and that was not too long ago.
And then,
79
yeah.
career touchdowns. Incredible.
Yeah, I mean, Chester was on here a lot last week with a lot of milestones, and they seem each week they're breaking records left and right, and it just shows the talent that team has, and they're going to be a force when it comes to 5A.
And then Mount Carmel, Gavin
This is a
Mashalik.
great
Talk about
stat.
that.
Yeah, I mean, he's added to his record-breaking streak of 111 consecutive passes without an interception. The previous record was 92 by Dave Shinsky, who won a state title back in the day for Mount Carmel. Um, that's taking care of the ball. And Gavin, I'll tell you what, he's done a tremendous job. And that's why, he's one of the reasons Mount Carmel's had great success this year.
Wow. Good stuff. Good stuff. And so onward we go here. Whoops. So let's take a look at some of the big games here in week 9. I mean, I can't get over the fact this is week 9,
I
Dave.
know. Week
Where did it go?
9.
Where did the season go?
I don't know. I really don't. It just seems like it goes by so quickly. We talk about when it was like week 3, week 4, like we're 1/3 of the regular season done and halfway through, and now we're 2 games away. Some this is their last regular season game, and some will start their like in Philly,
Postseason, sure, yeah.
they'll start their district. So playoffs are coming.
CB South is at Neshaminy. CB South kind of in the middle of a storybook era for this team. I mean, I don't think they had won a district championship before last year, and now they won the championship last year, undefeated this year. They better be ready for Neshaminy. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, their last two wins are against North Penn, Abington, including a 63-0 win last week. Owen Pinkerton, their quarterback. Listen, that's a guy that can run the ball, could throw the ball. He's around 1,000 yards passing, around 800 yards rushing. He's doing it, throwing it and running, and one of his main targets is Danny Geis. I think he's over or close to 500 yards receiving. I like CB South. This will be a fun game. Neshaminy, their quarterback, Michael Eckert, a guy that's, he's thrown for about 1,000 yards and rushed for a little over 200 yards. I think the Chamonix is going to rely a lot on their defense, but this CB South, they're showing why they're the number one seed and arguably the best, right now up to this point, 6A team in District 1.
Scranton Prep at Jersey Shore. I mean, it doesn't get any better than, these two-story programs with so much on the line. Not that they aren't going to make the postseason, because they are, both teams likely, but it sure could propel them into the postseason with a win, right?
Yeah, and going back, Scranton Prep does have one loss. It was to a team out in New York State. But since then, they've had some quality wins against a 5A Del Val team, a 4A Paul Pack team, and also another 5A team that's having a good year, Abington Heights. Lewis Paris is their star, their quarterback, over 1,000 yards passing, over 600 yards receiving. Their running back, Will Parlin, over 600 yards rushing, 12 touchdowns. These are the guys that Jersey Shore's got to try to find a way to stop. But Jersey Shore, their quarterback Elijah Jordan, this guy's thrown 1,500 yards, 18 touchdowns, and by the way, he's rushed for almost 500 yards, seven touchdowns. His big targets, Evan Snyder, he's over 40 catches so far this year, over 750 yards receiving with 11 touchdowns. I mean, that's all state numbers. And for Scranton Prep, they got to find a way to slow that Jersey Shore passing game.
Yeah, absolutely. And the heavyweight, well, I shouldn't say the heavyweight, because there's a few heavyweight battles
Yeah,
in District 3 this week.
this is one of the
One
heavyweight
of them,
battles.
I had to pick one.
Yeah,
So I picked it on a couple of teams that, quite honestly, we haven't really talked about this year too
yeah.
much. Conestoga Valley, maybe the feel-good story in District 3 this season, has to go into Exeter Township. And I tell you what, Matt Bauer and, Exeter, the Eagles, they have just been lights out at home over the last couple of years. That is going to be a knockdown, a drag out between those two teams. Honestly, the winner likely to have a home playoff game in the postseason. So much riding on this game, let alone the fact that it's for, the team that wins likely going to be the Lancaster Lebanon League Section 2 champion. I mean, how much more can you go for?
I mean, what do you think Conestoga Valley has to do to win this game and then Exeter?
Well, Conestoga Valley with I think with any of these teams, I think they've got to go in there and possess the football. I think that they, anytime that you're up against Exeter, they're a scoring machine. They can come at you with a lot of different aspects. Riley Martinez, the quarterback, is a real sharpshooter there. Um, and but I think that they've got to play mistake free, like with anything, the proverbial stuff, mistake free football. But I think getting on top first, the key to Conestoga Valley. And Exeter, they're going to be, what Exeter is. The one thing that I've learned about watching Exeter and Coach Bauer is he doesn't try and be something that he's not. He's going to go in there and, damn the tendencies. I'm going to do what I do well. And that's what Exeter's going to do. So you're going to have to stop it. But I like Exeter in this game at home. That's for sure.
Yeah, I do too.
So Easton and Freedom. All right. There's your backyard.
Yeah, I mean, this is a huge game. It's in Bethlehem. Uh, Easton was this at Liberty at the stadium, winning against Liberty last week, 49-20. Could they make it 2 wins in a row in Bethlehem? Um, I think for this game for Easton, they need to run the ball, play air free football, and just basically win the clock. If they can control the clock, keep that freedom offense on the sidelines, um, I think as the game goes and it's closer, and maybe Easton's winning, maybe Freedom's winning a close game, I think that favors Easton in this game.
Roman Catholic at St. Joe Prep.
Oof.
Everybody all it's a really like a lot of heartburn trying to pick against St. Joe Prep.
Yeah.
Um, you know, look, I like Roman in their lane
Hmm.
being 5A. I think
Yes.
it's really hard. I say this a lot, but there's 6 classifications for a reason,
Yeah.
and I just don't know whether Roman's going to be able to match the physicality of St. Joe Prep. Um, they may be, from a talent perspective, but I think the physicality there, and I throw it as, a toss up on the coaching side. Rick Preet, really great at Romans, done a wonderful job there.
Hmm.
Tim Roken, St. Joe Prep, they're always going to be prepared. They're always going to like have a game plan specifically for you. Um, it's hard for me to imagine that Roman's going to win this game.
Yeah, I mean, you have to favor Prep in this game. And again, 5A, 6A, when it comes to districts, Roman won't have to worry about playing LaSalle,
Right,
won't
right.
have to worry about playing Prep, won't have to worry about playing Emotep.
Imhotep.
So, this is a good game, because you're going to play good programs when you go deeper and deeper when it comes to states. And especially as we know, 5A Western PA, District 7 has really dominated lately. 5A, I know MLTEP won last year, but if you go back and look, it's been pretty much, District 7. So I think Roman will be battle tested when it comes to playoffs. If I'm Prep, you know, I'm taking one of Beal's strengths away. And if it means, rushing, I know, listen, he's 2,200 yards passing, 29 touchdowns. But if you could try to at least keep him in the pocket, not let him go left, right, and make plays, that will benefit Prep's defense. But I do like Prep in this game. You know,
It's hard to
we'll
pick
see.
against them ever.
It is. It is.
So anyway, wow. All right. Well, incredible. Um, it talked about a jam-packed show. Holy
Yeah.
cow. I mean, what didn't we talk about? I think we talked about every team in the eastern half of Pennsylvania, whether they had a winning record or they didn't.
Yeah. And next week, like we said, we're gonna have more guests, different districts. I know it's hard each week to get every district on at once. So what we'll try to do is maybe get 3 this week and then some next week.
Yeah.
But in the end, we want to get reporters on to talk about their area and give fans great info about, these teams.
Well, I think that we've done that this week. We want to thank Dave Berman and my
Yeah,
buddy David Bray for
a lot of
jumping on.
Daves.
Yeah, a lot of Daves. It's Dave. It's Dave
Yeah,
night here on Fresh Set It Down. So,
it's 3D.
well, anyway, listen, we can't thank everybody enough for jumping on, and especially my buddy Dave Micah. Dave, incredible job, again tonight. Thanks so much for all you do, my friend.
Well, thank you. I enjoy this, and I hope whoever's on and listening, I hope you guys enjoy it. And if there's something you want to see, you want us to do, go in the chat room. Bruce will see it and let us know, or contact us. This show's about giving to the fans, and let us know what you want.
Yeah, absolutely. It is about the fans, and we appreciate everybody out there. And we'll be back again next Tuesday night at 7:30 for the regular season finale of Fresh Set of Downs. Until that time, my name is Bruce Badgley for my buddy Dave Micah. Hey, listen, thanks for joining us and drive safely. See you next week, everybody.
See ya.